Hello. Welcome to December 1st. So I hope everybody is having a good evening and a good start to the weekend. So it's been a month and it's been a sort of a rough day for little Duncan. He's sleeping. So you'll see he's got a little Christmas sweater on because I'm in northern Minnesota. So it's quite chilly. Hello, Robin, and Amanda, and Allie, and Anne, and Lorna, and Joan. Joan in on a Friday night. There's Heather, and Patsy, and Marlene. Very cool. And there's Marina. So wonderful. So I'm going to grab my book and I will start my list. So would you believe today is show number 151? Welcome, Deborah. Oh, and there's Sarah. Welcome, Sarah. So if you are new, how this works is most shows have sort of a flow where we do group healing called the Healing Pulse. And usually we do 3 of those. So if you can see on the scrolling headline, we do 10 minutes in, 30 minutes in, and 45 minutes in. But we also do work on individual issues. And I put everything in a book. So like I have things that we did last week or last month. So last month we did individual issues, we did good luck, bad luck, we did positive emotions, which that's typically my favorite. And then I usually put what people are working on too. Sometimes that's helpful for me to know. So in about 3 minutes, we will start with our first healing pulse. But if you want to start putting in the comment field what you would like to work on. And so with this, sometimes people want to work on something physical, something emotional, or just, whatever comes up that's most helpful. And then I just write things down, and throughout the show, we get to everyone at least once. If there's not very many people, sometimes we get to you 2 or 3 times, but with 15, we'll probably get to everyone at least once. So Robin, I've been thinking of you lately, wondering where you dropped off to. So I'm glad you're here. So I'll still probably drop you a note. Okay. Well, so Sarah, so with that, whether to apply for a job or not. So the work I do is typically more healing. So I can help remove blocks to help you make decisions. Or I do have some cards here. This past summer, I did a lot of oracle card things, and I'm not really a reader. I seem to have a good connection with the cards. So what comes up is oftentimes very interesting. But I basically just read the book, but some of my cards are pretty amazing. There's Jane. Okay, so Sarah. Well, since everybody's a little shy, I have this new deck here that I think I've used a couple times. Let's just see what card comes up for Sarah. Otherwise, just wait and see. So this is called Angels and Auras. If you get my free newsletter, which, just so you know, my free newsletter, the purpose of it is not to fill you up with knowledge, but mainly to tell you what things I've got coming up. And I think the only thing extra if I buy a book or a deck of oracle cards or tarot cards, I usually put it in there. Okay, so this it's reversed. It's called perfect timing. And it's perfect timing reversed. So that means more unfortunate struggle, disorder, resistance. So is that what's going on with your job now, Sarah? Is that it's sort of pushing you out? Let's see. Very interesting that. So it's perfect timing reversed. So I will have to send you something, okay? All right, so yeah, I'll send you a little bit something to help you with that, Sarah, okay? All right, so I'm going back, writing my list. All right. Oh, Lorna, I'm so sorry. Shoulder, sternum. All right, so Marina's looking for a job. All right, Allie. Ooh, cracked ribs. That sounds rather painful. Amanda. Outside noise. Anxiety. I can't remember because Amanda, I think you were here last time. Did the Healing Pulse help you at all with that? There's Heather. Heather, on my Facebook page, I posted something about metaphysical hypnosis because you had asked something about it last time. And as long as I'm mentioning that, on my Facebook group for the healing, I am offering a drawing for a free metaphysical hypnosis session, which will be a mix of QHHT, which is the Dolores Cannon variety, or the BQH. I sort of mix up whatever's best. It typically costs about $350, but it's the most powerful healing, and a lot comes out. It's very helpful for information. But I've got a post, so all you need to do is post on the comment or post in the comments, and then I'm doing a drawing for that. And you need to be okay with having it recorded because I'm doing this to post on Facebook and YouTube to show people what a typical hypnosis session with me is about. And this is the metaphysical hypnosis. So Heather, emotions and changes. So we'll see. Attachments. So Deborah's asking about healing attachments. You mean like entities, Deborah? Lower back pain. I typically don't do that in these sessions. That's something that I typically do in a private session. So the goal for doing this, and when COVID started, I did this every week for like 3 years. So my goal is to use the tools that are the fastest and typically the simplest, just because I want to help as many people as possible. All right, Pauline. Okay, so it sounds like some of you can really use the healing pulse for stress too. All right, so I'm up to Joan. Help with resting, overthinking, calm like a tree. Marlene, blocks to self-confidence. Jane, decision making. I think we'll just say decision making. Okay, so Amanda said it did help some. So with the healing pulse, oftentimes it helps on layers. And so I would suggest, okay, I think I've got everybody. All right, so let's do the healing pulse. The wonderful thing about the healing pulse is it goes to where you direct it to go. It is a mix of my personal healing frequencies and another tool called Shambhala. And it sort of ebbs and flows depending on what I'm doing. It used to have a third tool. And although I'm a Reiki master and have a lot of Reiki training, it typically doesn't include Reiki, which is sort of interesting. But I consider that the healing pulse is something that is uniquely designed to go to where you direct it to go. So with this, if you've got anxiety, if you've got pain, if you've got something emotional going on, think about where that lives. So the pain is easy because you know exactly where it is. But like anxiety, where does that live within you? Or like Joan had talked about wanting to quit overthinking it. So does that live in your mind, Joan? Is that where you want to send the energy? Or is it something that bubbles up from below and just keeps churning? So what needs to be calm? Is it the head? Is it the heart? Or is it lower? So with all this, you just need to think about where do I want to send the energy? So with this, I want you to rub your hands together until they're warm, and then place your hands exactly where you want to receive the energy. And then imagine my hands on yours. And here's the most important part. I want you to be open and allowing the energy to flow, because you're getting my healing frequencies, which I fully believe are divinely guided, but you're also getting your own healing frequencies. I believe 99% of people have healing frequencies in their hands, but part of it is if you even have an interest in using them. And so just breathe in the healing with each breath in. Allow it to go a little deeper, a little further. And if you're a really visual person, give that healing some color. What color would it be? What is the most colorful healing energy, if you can imagine that? A lot of people say green, but This is your healing. So just imagine as you're breathing in, with each breath in, that healing energy goes a little deeper, a little further. But here's the best part. With each breath out, you are releasing something that you're done with, something that doesn't belong. Maybe it's not even yours. So breathe in the healing, and when you're breathing out, you're releasing. And if you are one that really benefits from doing breath work, this is a perfect time to do the breath. So there are many variations. Usually, if you don't have a lot of experience with breath, I suggest the box breath just because it's simple and it's easy. And we'll talk about that a little more during the next healing pulse. Okay, so that was the first healing pulse. Let me know how you did and if it was helpful. We will be doing several more. We will also be doing, normally at the end of the night, we'll do an aura strengthening, and then we'll see what else we do. With as many of you in the room as there are, we might not get a lot of other things done. So we'll have to see. All right. Okay, so Lorna is next. Lorna's got the big C, shoulder and sternum. Okay. Just seeing if you got any more. So with this, a lot of the work I do is dealing with emotional trauma because, as Dr. Bradley Nelson said, who wrote the Emotion Code book, that a lot of disease starts with an emotion. And so that's probably the main thing that I'm going to look at for most of you is there an emotional trigger? And so I'm going to look. So I've got quite a few different lists, and I use different lists each time. So I think I'm going to use emotion, sensations, and behaviors, and that's got about probably like 300 different ones. And then I think I'll use Dr. Brad's emotion code list too. His list has like 60 on it. So there's his. All right, so Lorna, let's just see. And he is also one that believes in layers, and I've learned throughout the years that so many things have layers, and what happens is we release whatever this is, and then especially if it's a complex issue, oftentimes there are multiple layers that bubble up underneath it. And if you're under stress, oftentimes things bubble up in an extreme way if you're under a lot of stress. So you just got to keep working on things. All right, so I get the word suffocated for Lorna. Let me get an age for this. And ages are tough, so usually I feel I do pretty good plus or minus a year. So let's see what age. Around age 26. So somewhere 25, 26, 27. There was an event that caused you to feel really suffocated. All right. So let's go ahead and release this. If you have releasing of energy in your background, I ask that you assist. If you do not, just lend support that it is working. So with this, I'm releasing the energy of the event that caused Lorna to feel really suffocated. And there's many different release techniques. Dr. Brad does this over the head thing with meridians, and I often show my clients that first of all in private sessions, but just because it's such a physical thing, and for some people that's really helpful. So I'm getting that did release. All right, going on to the next one. So Marina's working on getting a job. Just checking my list to make sure. So Anne's got a cataract. So I'll see if there's any. All right, so Deborah, emotional attachment. So I will see if there's something connected
From
to
healthline.com. Emotional attachment refers to the feelings of closeness.
Alexa, quiet. Did you hear that? Alexa just turned on. Not very helpful.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding.
Alexa, stop. That's a little crazy. She doesn't typically interfere. Okay. All right. So Marina lives in Croatia, and she has worked the last couple years off and on in Iceland. But I bet there's not a lot of jobs in Iceland now, especially with what's going on there. So let's see. All right. So Marina, I get indecisiveness, which I can fully understand that. And I'm getting this as a recent thing. And I bet it's a lot of it's because you've made decisions and then you had decisions taken away from you too. So you've gone back and forth. So let's take away the energy of being indecisive and making decisions and feeling like it hasn't been helpful. But you've been sort of powerless with that. So let's go ahead and release that energy. So just imagine hanging on to decisions and letting it just sort of float away. So I think you put pressure on yourself to make decisions, but it's too much. There's been just so much craziness with what you're trying to do right now, and you've had so many opposite type of opportunities. When you do decide, you've regretted it. And then when you haven't decided, you've regretted it. Okay, so let's see. Yes. That lady with the A, she can be rather intrusive. Normally, I only let her deal with lights. All right. So that was Marina. Allie has some cracked ribs. Let's see. And I'm hoping that the healing pulse helped with some of the pain because I know that that is a pretty painful condition. So let's see my list. So I have a story about physical things. So like cracked ribs. And how can an emotion be connected to a cracked rib? Well, sometimes I'll give you a different example. So I was getting my hair done and the receptionist was having trouble with her knee. And her background was, I think she had a bachelor's of science and biology. So very scientific. And she knew that I did sort of woo-woo stuff. And I said, well, do you want me to see if I could help? And so she let me, put my hands on her knee. And I just, sent her, healing energy. And then I also did some work with seeing if there's any emotions. And so I explained to her that part of it is, say you fall, and sometimes you get up and you're not hurt. But other times you fall in the same way and you hurt yourself. And sometimes the reason for that is maybe there's a trapped emotion that has made that area a little weaker, where when there is damage, it's sort of drawn to that area with the trapped emotion. And so I'm getting panic around 23. So let's go ahead and release that. You are welcome, Lorna. I hope that helps, but with your condition, I imagine there's a lot more layers to it. If any of you find that the Healing Pulse does help, on my website, there is a link to sign up for my free newsletter. And with that, you'll get a link to a private YouTube video that has 3 healing pulses in a row. And then at the end, I talk more about what the healing pulse does. So if the healing pulse helps you, that might be an option for you, because then you could just keep replaying it. All right. So I did get that to release, Allie. And when it did, I wonder if you'll be able to breathe a little deeper, a little better. All right. So Amanda, let me see. We're going to focus on that outside noise, because there's an emotional component to that. And part of that is there was an event around being taken for granted. Let me get an age. Getting around age 22. So somewhere 21, 22, 23. And that did that sort of trigger you? Did things get harder after that? So let's go ahead and release that and hopefully take things down a notch. Oh, good, Allie. Love your feedback. So that always is appreciated. All right, Heather. Lots of emotions and change. So let's see. Let's see what we're going to do with that. So do this. Sorrow. Let's see when this was, because I'm not getting this as recent, Heather. So I'm getting like around age 13. So you were just young. So somewhere 12, 13, 14, there was some type of event around sorrow. And so sorrow, so it could be like a death, but it could also be like a major change. And, like with friends and school and family, it could be something like that. So let's go ahead and release that, because somehow that is tied to this. So releasing and removing sorrow. Okay, so that released. All right. All right, so Deborah, emotional attachments. So with this, Deborah, I'm just going to focus on emotional trauma. Yeah, because as I said, I don't do any entity work during these lives. But sometimes emotional trauma can allow an entity to hold on tighter. So I'm getting unsupported is the emotion. Let me get the age. Good, Lorna. Is that heaviness makes it harder to heal? Okay, let me get an age for Deborah. Something from around age 24. So 23, 24, 25, someone in there. So let's release the energy of being unsupported around that age. Okay, so Dawn's got blood clots. So with this, all the work that I do is very compatible to traditional medicine. So I never suggest you just drop your doctor and say you're healed, but work with both of us. All right. Joan. I'm going to focus on the overthinking part. You are welcome, Amanda. I do hope that helped. You're welcome, Heather. All right, so Joan, calm. Sluggish. So when I get that, Joan, it's not your body, it's your thoughts that are sort of sluggish, that you work so hard to think. And that working so hard causes you to overthink it. So let's see. Let me get an age for sluggish. 24. Somewhere 23, 24, 25. Let's release that. And then I have a story to tell you. And then we're late for our next healing pulse. Okay, Joan, I did get that released. All right. So on TikTok or Twitter or whatever, there was a video about a gal who had said, does your right eyelid sometimes twitch? I know mine does every once in a while. But she said the reason why it does is because you're stressed and you're releasing a lot of cortisol. And so that's sort of a sign, if your right eyelid twitches, that you need to find things that help you de-stress and make you calmer. So that's sort of an interesting thing, isn't it? I just heard that today, so I haven't really researched if that's a common thing or if she just made that up or if it's a wives' tale, but it was like, so you guys can be my guinea pigs. Let me know if when your right eyelid twitches, are you experiencing a lot of stress. So the sluggishness is now, but it also was at 24, Joan. All right, let's do our next healing pulse. So are you ready? So now if you want, you can do this at the same spot that you did before, or you can pick a totally new one. So rub your hands together and then place your hands exactly where you want to receive the energy. And just breathe in that energy. With each breath in, imagine that it goes a little deeper. And then with each breath out, and then if you would like to try the breathing, just try with the basic box breath, where you breathe in for a count of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Release 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. And as I said, there are a wide variety of different breaths. And so part of it is, if you're drawn to that, it's something to look into further. And so just keep doing the breath work. Okay, so that was healing pulse number 2. And so I'm down to Marlene. If you have recently come in, I am taking requests for individual healing. So Marlene wants to work on blocks to self-confidence. Let's see. And I'm getting the word lost. Let me get an age for that for you, Marlene. Getting around age 8. So you were little. So somewhere like 7, 8, 9. Did you get separated from your family? So let's release that energy. And for your role, Marlene, just imagine that energy, that emotion, just releasing and letting go. Okay, so that released. Jane wants to work on decision making, so let's see what comes up for that. So I'm getting, there was an event around creative insecurity for you, Jane. Let me get an age. Oh, good, Deborah. All right, so let's see what age Jane's creative insecurity was, because somehow that's playing a role in her having trouble with decision making. around age 36, Jane, so somewhere 35, 36, 37. So let's go ahead and release this. Yeah, that's pretty great, Deborah, that it lessened. Okay, so that released. All right. Okay, Anne has a cataract. Let's see what we can do to help that. So I'm getting terror, but I'm getting that it's inherited. So with trapped emotions, they can be passed down through the bloodline, from your family, or it can be like past life, but I'm getting that this is an inherited thing, and let's see. And so this is just a piece of why your cataract has manifested. So this is father's. So this started on your father's side of your family, but it didn't start with your father. So it started with your grandpa, your dad's dad. And he was like 19 or so. So somewhere 18, 19, 20, he had something scary happen. And it was a bigger event for him. And so it doesn't always pass down to everyone in the family, but it can affect a number of people. So I'm going to just release this from everyone. All right, so Jane is asking about creative insecurity because that's the energy and the emotion that came up for her. And so typically creative insecurity I think of as maybe you have an idea or you're an artist and are going to do an art project. So like an idea, maybe you don't present it to anyone. You're at work and you have an idea, but you are so insecure that you don't tell anyone your idea. Or you're, an artist, but you don't show people your work. And so it's sort of holding back things that you've created. Let's see, what age were you? 36 for that. So it can be anything that you've created. And I'm getting that did release. And so being this started with your grandpa, so we will also look at if he had other children, nieces, nephews, cousins, children. So I'm getting that that has been released. I hope that makes it a little easier too, just because having terror as a trapped emotion, and this is something that you would have been born with, can be rather inhibiting. So you'll have to be observant the next few days because with all this, it does typically take a few days to heal. All right, so Dawn's got trouble with blood clots, and I think she had said something else too, but I didn't write down here. Blood clots, fear of lack of money. So let's see what comes up. Fear of lack. So we're going to work on the fear of lack of money. Let's see. Another inherited one. Interesting. We don't generally get a lot of inherited ones. So with this, as I said with Anne, this could be, inherited through the bloodline or inherited through past lives. So let's see what this one is. And this is a bloodline inherited. So let's see what it is. So I'm getting resentment. Let me see where it comes from. So let's see. And this is mother's side of the family. It didn't start with mother. So we're going to go another level up. So grandparents, no. So this is great grandparents. Is it grandma? Grandpa. So great grandpa, mother's side, resentment. Let's see how old he was when this happened. "17." So quite young. So 16, 17, 18, somewhere in there. So let's release this from your entire lineage. And this probably affected a lot in your family, but probably not everyone. Good, Anne. I hope that helps. Okay, so releasing from Dawn, the inherited trapped emotion. And then we're going to do our third healing pulse. And we might do a couple more things. You guys are quiet. Oh, Patsy, I almost missed you. Did I miss anyone else? All right, fear, lack of money. So if I missed you, please put what we're working on, what you want to work on in the comments. All right, so let's see. Getting there was an event around vulnerability for you, Patsy. Oh, Dawn, yeah, that's hard. Are you one that dreams, Dawn? Around age 13, Patsy, I'm getting there was something of vulnerability. So somewhere 12, 13, 14. So I'm not sure if it was something at family or school. But 13, that's a tough age. So let's go ahead and release that because somehow that does play a role. So before you go to sleep, Dawn, ask if you can dream with your mom. For people that dream, it seems like it's an easy thing. Unfortunately, I have not been able to do that, but sometimes people are able to call in that connection. So I'm not sure if you're the type that can do that. Okay. So Patsy, that did release. Yeah, I'd be curious, Dawn, if that can draw them in. So because I'm sort of obsessed with, what's his name? Is it Matthew Fraser? He's a psychic medium. He does YouTube's fascinating just watching him work. You are welcome. I do have a little commercial. I don't have anything fancy. I just have things written down. Sometimes, for those of you who are new, sometimes I even do like a video commercial because I'm not very good at commercials. I do more. I really enjoy the healing piece, but promoting myself is harder because that's not the fun part. But so here's something cool going on that if you're not doing anything next weekend, Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central, so same time as tonight, I am doing an energy sampler. And energy meaning Reiki. I also typically throw in a healing pulse there, but we're going to go through the different Reikis because I'm teaching Reiki online next month. And so I always like to offer sort of a sampler to experience the energies. So some people, the energy is the energy, and other people are very sensitive to the different types of energy. So for those of you who know you're sensitive, or maybe you're not sure and want to see, I separate them. So I do the original Reiki that I learned in 2009, which is Usui Reiki. And then a few years ago, I learned Usui Holy Fire Reiki, which I like so much. It's why I teach it, because it's, for me, it was just so much different than the original Reiki. And then I went on to learn Karuna Reiki, which is the top level of Reiki. And then a year and a half ago, I learned Animal Reiki, which is my absolute favorite. And with Animal Reiki, it's got a connection to the tree of life. And so Duncan is obsessed with Reiki. So I do a lot of my private sessions at home, sitting on my couch here. And so generally we'll go through, the first hour of the session. Generally my sessions are about an hour and 15 minutes. But if Reiki hasn't come up as a tool to use, then I always like to finish with like 10 minutes of Reiki because that helps sort of fill in any voids that we've created. It helps with anxiety. It helps with energy. So oftentimes I'm sitting here sending Reiki, and this little dude will come and sit in between my hands because he just loves Reiki. Don't you? Yes, you love Reiki. So I say Reiki, and he knows what it is. He just loves it. But so next Sunday night, I'm giving a free little sampler. And so we'll do the different energies, but then we'll end with what's called a Reiki experience, which is sort of like a guided meditation, but it brings in the holy fire energies. And that's been my favorite parts of the training, is the different things that have come into my head with the trainings, because the original Usui Reiki, with what they called back then the attunements, I didn't really notice anything. It was sort of disappointing. But the things that have happened with me with the holy fire have been sort of amazing and really gave me a more invigorated and really more of a belief in it, because as time had gone on, I quit offering Reiki to most of my clients because it just didn't resonate with me. And then when the holy fire came in, it shifted things. So next Sunday night on YouTube and Facebook, and this is free. I am going to be doing just a free show. And I did talk a little bit about metaphysical hypnosis, and there is a drawing on Healing by Summer mini healing group. You'll need to find that post. But if you go to my my personal Facebook page with Summer Jones, or the business page Healing by Summer, each of them have links to the group. You'll need to get permission to the group. High motivation, we are just going to start our third and final healing pulse, and then we will be doing aura strengthening. So with this, yeah, so see if you can manifest that, Dawn. I would like that for you. I think it helps to start with the sky's the limit. And if that doesn't work, then there are other things that you can do to connect with her. For instance, I've been doing a lot of automatic writings lately. If you're one of my personal clients, I sometimes randomly drop you a little note. It's sort of fun. Nothing serious or complex, but yes, 12:10. Thank you, Anne, for confirming that. 7 Central. So it's the same time as you started tonight. So with our final healing pulse. So do you want to send it to the same place? Do you want to send it somewhere new? Or are you feeling pretty good? So maybe you want to send it somewhere different. So if you're not sure where you want to send it, I often suggest your heart, your head, or maybe your third eye. That's sort of a fun one. And just see how it feels. Okay? So with this, rub your hands together. Place your hands exactly where you want to receive the energy. And then just start breathing in the energy. And just be open and allowing. Just breathe that in. So with each breath in, just imagine that getting a little deeper. And the healing getting a little stronger. And then, as I said in the first one, if you think of healing as a color, what color would it be? Bring that in. Okay. So that was our third healing pulse. And let me just see. I also want to talk about this book too. So this is one of my favorite books I use in private sessions just because, so all the emotions that came up on my lists, this has spiritual and emotional reasons why certain things are going on. And so with this, you can look up if there's an emotional connection for this. So, I went to my list and I muscle tested and saw what came up. But like this, So like someone had cataracts. So with this, let's see what comes up. So in a session, I would pull out my book just because this has everything in one area. And so oftentimes it is pretty common for people to have these types of emotions where nothing is clear, the future seems blurry, feeling like there's little hope of change, as though you're doomed for a gloomy existence, burdened by life, losing faith. So that would be something I would work on. And especially with the gal tonight, I would look to see if any of those emotions are inherited. Yeah, that was Anne. So, all right. So let's do aura strengthening. And this is how we generally end our evening. So the wonderful thing about having a strong aura is it helps repel negativity. And as you know, there's a lot of negative BS out there. And so with this, you can pull in healing pulse energy, but I always encourage you to work with and use your own energies. Sort of like, when I was talking about Reiki. Reiki is a wonderful energy. And so it's something that when you get used to working with energy, everything just gets a little bit easier too. So to start, I want you to rub your hands together. If you want to use the healing pulse energy, feel free to pull that in. If you want to just use your own healing frequencies, because as I said, I think just about everyone here probably has healing in your hands. And once your hands get warm, then start beaming the energy out to your aura. And so with me, especially when I'm working on making my aura thicker and stronger and more protective, I also throw in little chips of reflective material so that if someone's sort of spewing some hate, it gets reflected back onto them too. And then sort of as a bonus, so, because I'm building up my aura wall, but I also think, what do I want inside here? There's some of you that are dealing with pain. So maybe you want peace or calm or just fill it up with love. So what do you want inside your bubble? And so this is something that you can do like before if you're sitting in your car before you go into work and the day's going to be a little harder, this might help shelter you a bit from it. Okay, so let me know how you're doing, how you're feeling. Good motivation session. calm. Deborah feels so much better. Marlene is calm. Good. Jane, peaceful. Yes. So this recording will be on my YouTube channel where you watch, most of you are watching it now, but also under my Facebook business page, which is Healing by Summer. It's under the video section. So if you would want to book a session on my website, which is csummerjones.com, there is a booking tab. And also there is a free consultation tab. So if you have questions about what I do, feel free to go ahead and just book that. And then if you're interested in the drawing for a free metaphysical hypnosis session, which will have a focus on past life regressions and so much more, because it connects with the QHHT and also the Beyond Quantum Healing tools. But that is under Facebook, under the Healing by Summer mini healings. Nice, Anne. So practice with that. Let's do one more thing with the energy. So I want you to hold your hand out like this, okay? So hold it out. So I'm going to share with you. So this energy is called Reconnective Healing. Eric Pearl wrote a book about reconnective healing. He was a chiropractor, or should I say I think he is still a chiropractor in like the LA area. He's sort of a jerk, but he brought a lot of energy knowledge to other doctors in the LA area. So there's a reason why he had the arrogance, because other people that wouldn't normally listen to him listened. But he wrote a book about reconnective healing. He did not originate the energy, but he has promoted it for quite a while. And so with this, so reading the book, you can absorb the frequencies with my intention to share this with you. You have the frequency. So now what do you do with it? So you've got the frequency in your hand. So start by playing with it. So reconnective healing, what does that mean? So there are strings of energy. Cool, Anne. And so with this, can you imagine if there's like strings that you're just stretching and pulling? So Anne, with your eyes, stretch and pull. So that way, if there are any blockages, so sort of fun, huh? If you like this, I think you should take Reiki with me January 13th and 14th on Zoom. It'll be a fun little class and you'll learn a lot. Does anyone have any questions? I hope to see at least some of you next Sunday. Did anyone feel the reconnective healing energies as I shared them? Oh, Amanda feels less fearful. Good. So when I work with people, the best part for me is dealing with the emotional trauma, but also just figuring out what we need to work on and the healing. And unfortunately, not everything works for everyone. Oh, Patsy's got the energy flowing. So, Patsy, where are you going to use that energy? Yes, it's definitely a fun new experiment, Marina. But I think, Marina, you're more like me, where you don't always feel things, but keep going. Eventually, I think you will. Good. You guys are so good. So wonderful. And on that note, I'm going to go. Sarah, I'll send you a note with that card. And I'll probably, as I said, I've been doing the automatic writings. They're sort of fluffy, but they're also very encouraging too. So I like that they're fluffy and they're not really predictive. Yes, there are many layers to problems, which makes sense, doesn't it? So, and stress will trigger more layers to the problems to come out. So part of it's learning to deal with it. Great, Jane. Yes. Part of it's, just bringing things to your awareness and working on it. So wonderful. Super. I hope to see people next week, or I will be here New Year's Day night, January 1st, because I'm doing the first of every month. I had thought about adding a second one, but I think if I did that, I'd probably charge something, and I'm just not sure if I want to do that or not. But sometimes I miss doing it more than once a month because it is sort of fun. You guys are cool. So, but yes, I hope everyone has a good holiday. But I'll see everybody next week. So have a fabulous night. Drop me a note. It's probably easier to drop me a note on Facebook than it is YouTube. But you can comment on YouTube and it does get to me because it sits in my queue for a while. So have a good night. And Duncan will get up and, Dexter doesn't even get up. So, all right, Duncan. Are you that tired? Duncan will be at the healing next Sunday because he just likes it so much. Huh, Duncan? Yes. All right. Good night.